conference, though.
Now, back to Steiny and Guru on 95.7 The Game.
All righty, welcome back. And let's get right to it. Let's go out to the River Islands guest line. All guests on 95.7 The Game appear on the River Islands guest line. Isn't it time for you to discover the islands? River Islands in Lathrop. Eric Crocker joining us, the Locked On 49ers podcast. Eric, how you doing, man?
Oh, man, I'm chilling, man. I see you guys shouting out a little portion of the 209 with the River Islands
sure.
love right there.
Yeah, you ever been there?
Yeah, I've been over there. I know a couple people that moved over there. It's getting a little pricey. You know, people moving from the Bay Area to the 209. But it does look like a great community to live in.
Oh, way to go. We'll cut that up and send it to them and maybe get you a residual or two. All right, you've heard the Kyle Shanahan press conference. I thought there were a couple interesting nuggets there. I mean, I guess for the first time, the 49ers acknowledged that, yeah, they have given Ayuk permission or his agent to seek a deal with another team. Where do you think we are today with Brandon Ayuk and the 49ers?
You know, I think once they said, all right, you guys can go seek a trade and see if there's something out there for you, or at least, hey, these are some of the guidelines that we have with you looking for, you know, a potential trade partner. To me, that sounded like Ayuk is more than likely on his way out.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's simple, huh?
No doubt.
Especially when you hear that they haven't really had contract negotiation talks with Ayuk in months. You know, to me, for, you know, a receiver of his caliber and, you know, trying to make it work, that sounds a little ridiculous, but it also sounds like they are just too far apart on, you know, agreeing on anything, you know, remotely close to, you know, coming to a closing with this contract. So that part seems like, all right, it's best for us and best for you guys to potentially find, you know, a situation that works for both sides.
Eric, I got to be careful with what verbiage I use here. I want to use the word audacity or arrogance, but I think Brandon Ayuk is an above-average receiver who could put up more numbers if he were in a different system. He's not. He's come up big for the Niners. But, Eric, are you really telling me a team that was minutes away from a Super Bowl victory is going to run it back and put it at the wide receiver 1 or 2 position in the hands of Pearsall / Juwan Jennings? Is that really about to happen?
You know, the way the 49ers run the offense, in my opinion, is it's not predicated on having a wide receiver 1, wide receiver 2, wide receiver 3. You know, I think Kyle Shanahan has his vision for his offense and how he wants to, you know, have his concepts be ran. And he finds guys that he feels can execute the concepts and his vision and his schematics. And I think it starts with Christian McCaffrey, and everything kind of goes through him. And I think, you know, you have some other guys that I think Kyle Shanahan potentially prioritizes over what Brandon Ayuk brings. And that's not to say that he thinks that, you know, Ayuk is someone that obviously can't do extraordinary things in the offense, but it comes off as, hey, we're not featuring you like these other guys are getting featured that make a ton of money. So can we replace Brandon Ayuk's production with one guy? Absolutely not. But can you get a couple hundred more yards out of Debo? Can you get a couple more 100 yards out of Kittle? Can you get a few hundred more out of guys like Juwan Jennings? Can you get some decent production, like, you know, 600 yards, 650 yards out of your rookie receiver? If you could do that, then you're able to replace the production of Ayuk. And again, his impact was felt, you know, big time when he made his play, especially you go back to the Detroit Lions game. But the one thing that was very clear to me, they don't do anything to feature him. And I think when you look at some of the other kind of clutch situations, right, key moments, were they going to him? Were they saying, all right, we have to get the ball to Brandon Ayuk? You know, when you had a third down play, you know, late in the game, I think this was in regulation, you had a third down play, they ran like double slants. And Brandon Ayuk beat his guy. But instead of going to Ayuk, they went to the inside slant in that first window. The ball got batted down incomplete. Like, if Ayuk is your wide receiver 1, if he's your guy, if you're trying to run an offense through him in the passing game, how are you not throwing the ball to him? You know, on that 3rd and 4th play inside the 10 in overtime, and you have an opportunity to potentially, you know, hey, let's try to go up and score this touchdown. I know there was a free runner. I know Chris Jones is a monster. I know what he did. But if Ayuk is your first read there, are you able to get it to Ayuk even with the first free runner? I think so, but it wasn't a part of the progressions in the play. So I think Kyle is telling you, hey, I'm confident in my scheme. I'm confident in my ability to get production out of these guys. You know, whether it's Ayuk or other, we will still be good and efficient. And I think if you go back, now this is only one game. It's not like a lot of games. But if you go back to the one game he missed, Deebo Samuel went crazy. George Kittle went crazy. You know, you had some other guys step up like Ronnie Bell, catch a touchdown pass, still got CMC. I think there's things in place for this scheme and how Kyle sees his offense to be able to withstand a loss of Brandon Ayuk. And again, I'm not saying it wouldn't be like, you know, felt, but I think this team is kind of built to be able to kind of take that hit.
Eric Crocker joining us on 95.7 The Game, courtesy of the River Islands guest line. You can hear him on the Locked On 49ers podcast. Eric, do I have it right? Even if Ayuk finds a team that's willing to pay him the amount of money that he wants, isn't the other half that the 49ers have to be fine with what they get back from the team that he would go to?
You know, I think that's potentially the holdup right now, right? Like the 49ers have clearly said, here, these are a couple of teams right now that we have agreed to the structure of a trade. Now the ball is in your court, and they use those words, the ball is in your court to figure out the financial aspect of it. So I think that's the part that is maybe a little bit more difficult, finding something that works for both sides, you know, and I think, you know, let's say the Cleveland Browns.
Yep.
The Cleveland Browns may say, hey, 49ers, we'll offer you this, and this, and in return we get this and this, right, for Brandon Ayuk. And the 49ers are like, you know what, that works for us. But now you got to figure out the money aspect of it with Ayuk. And maybe that's not working out for the Browns and maybe why the deal isn't done right now. So we'll see. They just got a little bit more clearance to be able to talk more contract negotiations with teams. You know, if you told me by tomorrow morning we wake up and Ayuk isn't traded to a different team, like I wouldn't be surprised at all.
Wow. Let me ask you about...
Is traded to a different team.
Gotcha. Eric, let me ask you about number 71, Trent Williams. I mean, I'm telling Steiny here, like, I'm shocked something has not been done. Then I'm like, he's an OG, 36 years old. Nothing to see here. He'll be back. Where are you at on this whole Trent Williams situation, especially since the Niners have known maybe since March that he wasn't happy with this contract?
The way the 49ers have kind of gone about this offseason with contract negotiations, it's like, how do you not take care of, you know, well, first, how do you not figure out how you want this situation to go with Ayuk? And obviously it's lasted this long and people kind of saw this coming. I definitely saw kind of this standstill coming with how I kind of envisioned the situation. But with Trent Williams, if I didn't see this coming, but if you're the 49ers and you knew that this was a possibility, I think that your number one priority should be to jump out in front of this and make sure that you take care of the best offensive lineman in the NFL. Not everybody has this type of leverage to be able to say, you know what, I'm just going to sit out and it's on you guys to make sure you take care of me. I should have been taken care of. And I think every time somebody gets signed, which I think I saw was Christian Dearsaw, the tackle with the, I want to say Minnesota Vikings, just get paid. You know, Trent Williams is looking at it like, look, I've been a pivotal part of this offense. You know, I'm the best offensive lineman in the league. Y'all got to take care of me. And I would assume that the 49ers will prioritize that, even over whatever Brandon Ayuk has going on. But the fact that it's kind of this late in the offseason, in training camp, and you don't have one of the most important pieces in your offense locked up, it's kind of wild to me a little bit. Now, they could say, well, you know, a few years ago we took care of him, we made him the highest paid. And I think Trent Williams would tell you, well, I kind of outplayed that contract, so I need some new money. And I'm not getting any younger. So I would assume that deal will get done, and I'm definitely way more confident in a deal being done with him as opposed to a deal being done that brings back Brandon Ayuk on a new contract. But maybe that's something that will just happen prior to preseason or prior to first week one, like we saw with Nick Bosa last year.
Eric Crocker joining us on 95.7 The Game. You can hear him on the Locked On 49ers podcast, and he's joining us courtesy of the River Islands guest line. Do you think there's any chance, and I'm not saying they are, but you think there's any chance the 49ers are essentially saying to Trent Williams the same thing they're saying to Brandon Ayuk, and that is, look, you're under contract for $22 million. You're still among the top half dozen linemen getting paid. We just don't think that you're not going to play and give up that money.
I think the biggest difference, in my opinion, with this situation with Trent Williams as opposed to Brandon Ayuk, you can kind of mask it. You can get by. Trent Williams, you're going to get your quarterback killed trying to play behind Jalen Moore and McKivitz for an entire season.
Okay.
So you might be able to get by with that for a game or two, but trying to bank on, going to a Super Bowl, trying to win a Super Bowl without Trent Williams there and no other valuable, like, legit option at left tackle, unless something emerges that's different than what we've seen over the past few years, even though it's all the same guys with McKivitz and Jalen Moore, to me, that would be kind of catastrophic to the offense. I think you have to take care of him. That would be a really big hole, especially for Brock Purdy and his development. I think Brock has done a really good job of playing on time, getting the ball out. He's already had to offset not having a great right side of the offensive line. To have to try to, out-duel having poor protection from the left side as well, I think that would kind of really hurt the offense, even more than losing Brandon Ayuk.
Eric, we came in this morning and we heard that Ricky Pearsall caught a 45-yard touchdown from Purdy. And then we just heard Kyle speak, and he mentioned a shoulder issue possibly with one Ricky Pearsall. What can you tell us? What's going on with the rookie?
Yeah, he had a shoulder injury, left the middle of practice. Now, I think for Pearsall now is coming down there like, dude, you gotta stay healthy, and you have to learn to prepare your body at the NFL level. And I know, just with my time, being in the NFL, one thing that jumped out to me right away that I wasn't even as aware of, obviously everybody knows, hey, work out, do these things, eat right. But once you get to the NFL, you see preparation and taking care of your body on a different level. And for a guy like Ricky Pearsall hasn't quite been around now for a long time, maybe that's something that can really help him from having kind of like these little dings throughout his rookie year, and it's something that he just has to learn from. And if you hear other guys, I remember Jimmy Ward talking about it. He was a guy that had to deal with a lot of different injuries. He had to learn how to really, truly take care of his body, and over the past, few years, he's done a lot better with, being able to stay healthy and out there on the field. So, yeah, for Ricky Pearsall, being a younger guy and having some of these things, learn to take care of your body. He's going to learn it from vets, hopefully. But, it's tough, especially in this situation right now where you see the big play, downfield from Purdy to Pearsall, then, he's hurt. And then, you got that kind of dark cloud of the Brandon Ayuk situation looming over, knowing we aren't going to replace him with one guy, but we definitely going to need our first-round rookie to be out there and be healthy and be available to the offense.
Eric Crocker joining us on 95.7 The Game, courtesy of the River Islands guest line. You can hear him on the Locked On 49ers podcast. I guess the other piece of information that came out of the press conference, Eric, was that Christian McCaffrey's probably not going to practice for a couple weeks, and he won't play in the preseason because of a calf issue. What do you make of that?
I remember him having this calf issue, and I don't know if it's the same calf issue or the same extent, but he was able to play through it. I want to say in that 2022 season, second half after being traded to the 49ers, he kind of dealt with the little calf issue, and he's taking these little dings, but I talked about being able to prepare, right, as a professional athlete. McCaffrey does it to the highest extent. So this is something that may kind of hold him out throughout preseason. Kyle Shanahan said that you won't see him out there for the rest of preseason. But come week one, I believe he's a guy that'll be ready to go. He'll do whatever it takes to make sure that he's ready to go. And I would bet that this is something that maybe you take a little bit more precautions with it during preseason. If it was regular season, he'd probably be ready to suit up come Sunday.
Eric, great stuff. Thanks you so much for joining us, and hopefully we can catch up with you down the line.
All right. Talk to you guys soon. Thanks.
All right. That was Eric Crocker.